Imagine being haunted by the ghosts of your unfinished tasks, constantly lurking in the back of your mind, refusing to let you focus on the present moment. It's a feeling that's all too familiar for many of us, and it's rooted in a psychological phenomenon known as the Zeigarnik effect. But before we dive into the details of this fascinating concept, let's ask a disturbing question. What if the majority of your mental energy is being spent on tasks you're not even actively working on? A study conducted by psychologist Dr. Baumeister at Florida State University found that the human brain has a tendency to devote a significant amount of cognitive resources to unfinished tasks, often at the expense of our current goals and objectives. This can lead to a state of mental fatigue, decreased productivity, and a general feeling of being overwhelmed. The statistic is startling. Research suggests that up to 80% of our mental capacity is dedicated to ruminating on incomplete tasks, with a study by Dr. Cray at the University of Saarland finding that participants who were interrupted while working on a task experienced a significant increase in cognitive load, even after the interruption had ended. This is precisely where the Zeigarnik effect comes into play, a concept named after the Russian psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik, who first observed this phenomenon in the 1920s. Zeigarnik noticed that waiters in a restaurant were able to recall the orders of unfinished tasks, such as serving a customer, with greater ease than those of completed tasks. This led her to hypothesize that the brain has a tendency to fixate on unfinished tasks, often to the point of distraction. But what if we could harness this psychological phenomenon to boost our productivity, rather than letting it hold us back? A study published in the Journal of Applied Psychology by Dr. Gallwitzer at New York University found that individuals who were able to leverage the Zeigarnik effect by setting clear goals and making plans for their unfinished tasks experienced a significant increase in motivation and task completion rates. The Zeigarnik effect is closely related to the concept of cognitive dissonance, which suggests that our brains are wired to seek out completeness and consistency. When we leave a task unfinished, it creates a sense of dissonance, or mental discomfort, that our brain is eager to resolve. This is why we often find ourselves ruminating on incomplete tasks, trying to find ways to complete them and restore a sense of balance to our mental state. But this can also be a major productivity killer, as we spend more and more time thinking about what we need to do, rather than actually doing it. By understanding the Zeigarnik effect and how it influences our behavior, we can start to develop strategies for harnessing its power, rather than letting it control us. For example, we can use the Zeigarnik effect to our advantage by breaking down large tasks into smaller, manageable chunks, and then focusing on completing one chunk at a time. This can help to create a sense of momentum and progress, while also reducing the mental fatigue that comes with trying to tackle a massive task all at once. One of the key takeaways from the research on the Zeigarnik effect is that our brains are wired to respond to incomplete tasks, and that this response can be either positive or negative, depending on how we choose to approach it. By acknowledging the Zeigarnik effect and making a conscious effort to work with it, rather than against it, we can start to tap into its potential as a productivity booster. This might involve setting clear goals and deadlines for our tasks, creating a schedule and sticking to it, and avoiding the temptation to multitask or get sidetracked by non-essential activities. It's also important to recognize that the Zeigarnik effect can be influenced by our emotional state, with research suggesting that individuals who are experiencing high levels of stress or anxiety are more likely to get bogged down by unfinished tasks. By finding ways to manage our stress and anxiety, such as through meditation or exercise, we can reduce the negative impact of the Zeigarnik effect and start to use it as a tool for achieving our goals. As we delve deeper into the world of the Zeigarnik effect, it becomes clear that this phenomenon is not just a curious aspect of human psychology, but a powerful tool that can be harnessed to boost our productivity and achieve our goals. By understanding how the Zeigarnik effect works and how it influences our behavior, we can start to develop strategies for leveraging its power, rather than letting it hold us back. This might involve using techniques such as the Pomodoro technique, which involves working in focused, 25-minute increments, followed by a 5-minute break, to help stay focused and avoid distractions. It could also involve setting clear boundaries and learning to say no to non-essential tasks, in order to reduce the number of unfinished tasks that are competing for our attention. And as we start to explore the many ways in which the Zeigarnik effect can be used to boost our productivity, we begin to realize that the key to unlocking its power lies in our ability to understand and work with our own psychology, rather than trying to fight against it. The implications of the Zeigarnik effect are far-reaching and have the potential to revolutionize the way we approach our work and our personal lives. By acknowledging the power of this phenomenon and making a conscious effort to work with it, rather than against it, we can start to achieve our goals with greater ease and efficiency. And as we continue to explore the many ways in which the Zeigarnik effect can be harnessed to boost our productivity, we begin to realize that the secret to unlocking its power lies in our ability to understand and leverage the psychological forces that drive our behavior. But what if we could take it a step further and use the Zeigarnik effect to not just boost our productivity, but to actually change our behavior and develop new habits? This is where the concept of implementation intentions comes in, a strategy that involves specifying when and where we will perform a task in order to increase our chances of following through on our goals. And as we start to explore the many ways in which implementation intentions can be used to harness the power of the Zeigarnik effect, we begin to realize that the possibilities are endless, and that the key to unlocking our full potential lies in our ability to understand and work with our own psychology. Now that we've explored the science behind the Zeigarnik effect, let's dive into how we can harness its power to boost our productivity. You see, the key to leveraging this psychological phenomenon is to understand that our brains are wired to seek closure. When we start a task, our mind creates a mental loop that remains open until we complete it. This is why unfinished tasks can haunt us, making it difficult to focus on other things. Research by psychologist Roy Baumeister has shown that when we're unable to complete a task, our mind experiences a state of cognitive dissonance. This discomfort can be so intense that it motivates us to revisit the task and finish it, simply to restore a sense of mental balance. For instance, imagine you're working on a project at the office, but you're interrupted by a meeting. Even after the meeting, you might find it hard to concentrate on other tasks because your mind is still stuck on the unfinished project. This is the Zeigarnik effect in action. Another study by researcher Timothy Pychyl found that when people are unable to complete a task, they're more likely to engage in procrastination. This might seem counterintuitive, but it makes sense when you consider that our brains are trying to avoid the discomfort of an open mental loop. By putting off the task, we're temporarily escaping the feeling of guilt and frustration that comes with leaving it unfinished. However, this only serves to prolong the mental anguish, making it even harder to focus on other tasks. So, how can we use the Zeigarnik effect to our advantage? One practical step is to break down large tasks into smaller, manageable chunks. This allows us to create a series of smaller mental loops that can be closed as we complete each chunk. For example, if you're writing a book, instead of thinking about the entire manuscript, focus on completing one chapter at a time. This will give you a sense of accomplishment and closure, motivating you to move on to the next chapter. Another strategy is to use the 2-minute rule. If a task can be done in less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. This will help you avoid the mental overhead of leaving a task unfinished, and it will also give you a sense of momentum and progress. For instance, if you need to send an email or make a phone call, don't put it off, just do it. This will help you close the mental loop and free up mental resources for more important tasks. Additionally, you can use the Zeigarnik effect to your advantage by creating a stop doing list. This is a list of tasks that you're not going to complete, and it can be incredibly liberating. By acknowledging that you're not going to finish a task, you can close the mental loop and move on. For example, if you've been putting off a project for months, it might be time to admit that it's not going to happen. By crossing it off your list, you can free up mental energy and focus on more important things. Lastly, you can use the Zeigarnik effect to boost your productivity by using a pre-game routine. This is a short routine that you do before starting a task, and it can help you get into a productive mindset. For instance, you might make a cup of coffee, put on some music, or do a quick workout. By creating a consistent pre-game routine, you can signal to your brain that it's time to focus, and this can help you get into a flow state. By leveraging the Zeigarnik effect, you can create a sense of momentum and motivation that will carry you through even the toughest tasks. The Zeigarnik effect is a powerful psychological phenomenon that can either hinder or help our productivity, depending on how we use it. By understanding how our brains respond to unfinished tasks, we can develop strategies to harness this power and achieve our goals. Whether it's breaking down large tasks into smaller chunks, using the 2-minute rule, creating a stop-doing list, or using a pre-game routine, there are many ways to leverage the Zeigarnik effect to boost our productivity. In real-life scenarios, the Zeigarnik effect can be seen in many aspects of our lives. For instance, have you ever found yourself thinking about a conversation you had with someone, and you can't stop replaying it in your head? This is the Zeigarnik effect at work, and it's a sign that your brain is trying to find closure. By acknowledging this mental loop and finding a way to close it, you can free up mental energy and focus on more important things. The Zeigarnik effect can also be seen in our work lives. For example, if you're working on a project and you're interrupted by a meeting, you might find it hard to concentrate on other tasks afterwards. This is because your brain is still stuck on the unfinished project, and it's trying to find a way to close the mental loop. By using the strategies we discussed earlier, you can find a way to close this loop and move on to other tasks. In conclusion, the Zeigarnik effect is a powerful psychological phenomenon that can have a significant impact on our productivity. By understanding how our brains respond to unfinished tasks, we can develop strategies to harness this power and achieve our goals. Whether it's in our personal or professional lives, the Zeigarnik effect is always at work, and it's up to us to use it to our advantage. If this helped you see yourself differently, subscribe. I post new psychology insights every single day. And if you want to go even deeper, check the link in the description for Deep Work by Cal Newport. It changed how millions of people think and act.